So my name is Olivier, I work at Linea, I work on the arithmetization of the EVM. So I basically built a circuit for the ZKVM which is running on Linea. So Linea is an L2, it's a ZK EVM, a type 2 ZK EVM currently. We have our own sort of circuitry, we have our own proving system as well, which is based on a paper which we wrote a few years ago called Vortex. And I guess that's about it, yeah? Okay, so our proving system is based on lattice cryptography, first of all, which is, I think, relatively unique. We basically leverage work we've done at Consensus in the past years, so we also make a lot of use of GNARC, which allows us to write a certain very specialized circuits. For the main proving circuit, we have some kind of air-like architecture where our EVM, because we're directly targeting the EVM, is sort of split up into many modules, for which we have sort of individual arithmetizations, and the whole thing is basically then sort of packaged in this proving system called Vortex, which is this recursive proving system where the initially immense system sort of gets compactified many times until it becomes small enough to be proven on L1. I didn't hear from them directly. So we basically were looking for auditing firms within the company because we had a clear need for an audit as our specification and our constraints are separated. So there's several reasons for us to want an audit besides obviously the contents of the constraints themselves. But it was basically, I think it came down to a few companies, and the decision wasn't taken by me in the end, but in the end the choice was excellent. Mostly I think the really great things was the communication, which was very thorough. It also reflected the effort that was put in by the team to understand our approach, the details of our specification, how it relates then to the actual implementation and the constraints. And the sort of the overall effect of that was, I mean, just phenomenal in terms of how many bugs were discovered. A few sort of major bugs, nothing like bad or anything, but oversights, plenty of oversights, plenty of basically disconnects between what was sort of initially specified versus what was implemented in the end. So I would say that overall the work was extremely thorough, far more thorough than I'd actually initially expected. I expected that the project would be impossible to do in some sense. If you just look at our specification, it's over 800 pages. It's quite complex, and interlocking parts interact in non-trivial ways. I was, for instance, amazed even at how particularly how the parts connect, how that was a focus point of the auditors, with several disconnects being discovered, which at that time we hadn't been able to discover because our constraints were not live. So we didn't have the tool to sort of realize where we were going wrong. There was basically, in the end, yeah, my main point was that the audit surprised me by the thoroughness of it and the sort of really meticulous attention to detail, especially considering the scope of the project, which initially I thought was sort of my hopes were not very high initially, and that has nothing to do with the Veridise or something. It was just the size of the project itself. I thought it was inauditable. So I'm very glad with the way it happened.